Bonjour mes amis, hi guys. I wish the title of this video was click and bait, but unfortunately it's a serious story. It's a bit of an embarrassing story to tell, but I think it's important to tell it, and it has a bittersweet ending. As you can see, the watches in question are here with me. I hope you will appreciate this the Hong Kong Police Force exhibit envelope that I have underneath as a proof of where I just went to get the watches back. So the short of it, I got scammed on the payment for those two watches that I was selling, and I got them back. The long story is quite interesting, and what's interesting is that I got scammed, and I should never have. I had a bit my blinders on, and funnily enough, I had prepared a video about how to spot scammers on Chrono 24, easy ways to tell. And here was just on the edge. I was hesitating. I was a bit in a hurry. I had something to do, and I lost sleep over this quite a bit, as you can imagine. But I didn't get hurt. Some people get attacked for their watches, and it could have happened to me had I not handed the watches over. So the long story, if you're ready for it, grab a beer. It's gonna be a fun story. So I was selling. I had the GLC, the Jaeger-lecoultre here. It's a Memovox International in rose gold, very limited watch, only 250 pieces done. I love the watch, and I loved it more and more, but I had it on sale just in case at a quite high price on a local website here, an app used to buy and sell all sorts of things, and very popular here for watches. Someone just hit me up for it, asking for a discount, and I told the guy, I'm not in a hurry to sell, I love the watch. And then he says, okay, I'd like to buy it. And then here's my number, contact me on WhatsApp, and let's discuss when we meet and all that. So I do that. He's asking, do you have anything else? My partner there at the office would like to, he likes AP and Rolex. And I tell him, well, I have the Milgauss here for sale. And the reason I was offering it, I love the watch, but I've been accumulating too many watches, and these two happen to be a bit thick, and I kind of like thinner watches. So I thought with the money, maybe I can move on to something else. Maybe get a Sky Dweller, which is also thick, but would be a fun experience to have a Sky Dweller. And he offers me a price that is fair for the two of them together. So it made sense, Often the scammers will just say, yeah, I'll pay whatever you want, and then that is something weird. Sometimes on Chrono 24, people have offered me more than what I was asking for a watch, and it turned out to be actually for this GLC, some weird scammer from calling from Sweden. Because I had him on the phone, and it didn't go anywhere. So it was part of the few things that you will note when scammers try to get to you. So we agree handing over the watches on a given day. I go get all the box, the papers and everything, and I go to the meeting point, and he says on WhatsApp, okay, I'm sending someone to pick them up. I can't come in person, which then is a big red flag usually, because it's such specific watches, especially this one. You'd want a real passionate person who would want to see it in person. I should have left then, I guess. But I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. So a young guy comes, and it's COVID time, so he's got a mask on, he's got a hat on. But nevertheless, because I could, it made me feel a bit uncomfortable. I took a discreet picture of the guy. It turned out to be a good idea, and he's got the other guy on the phone, so he's checking out the watches, says everything is okay, and the guy. So the big problem here, he wanted to pay through the main bank here in Hong Kong. I'm a client of a different bank, but my wife is a client of the main bank. So I said, okay, you can send to my wife, and I'll ask her when the payment is done. Because I had offered him other ways to pay. Of course, cash is always the best. And, looking back at this, all my other deals have been done in cash. Doesn't matter the value of the watch. But it was a lot of money, so I wanted to offer a different way. There's also a fast payment service here, which is also secured, and when the money hits you, it's yours. You can't turn around. And he had ignored this on the chat and wanted to use this the main bank. So, I asked my wife, did you just get, can you check on your banking app? Did you get the money? She says, yeah, the money is there. And I hand over the watches. I had an appointment at longer. I was in a bit of a hurry there. And there you go. So my watches are gone. Apparently I have the money. And the next day in the morning, I check on my wife's phone on the app if the money is good. And what would you know, it had been removed. And when I checked the details, it had been put on the ledger, not actually in the balance of the account. And the way it was done, it was just by using a check in a machine, which is a very common scam here. I was sort of aware of it, but because I couldn't check it at the time. And so basically what you can do here in Hong Kong, and the main bank, I don't want to name the guilties, the investigation is still ongoing, but you can guess which one it is. In the name of it, there is Hong Kong and there is Shanghai in the name as well. They allow this to happen every day. So basically you can put any piece of paper the size of a check in one of their machines, type in someone's account, an amount. You can grossly write the amount on the piece of paper and it will go as on the ledger of the person's account as a check deposit, and then it will be cancelled when they open the machine and see that the check is no good. So there you go, panic. I run to the police station, give a statement to a detective. He was very nice. He was writing in English the best he could. It was a bit funny. I started changing the English, afterwards, and then I just let it go. It was quite amusing. Anyway, the message was there, and then I thought I would never see my watches again. They'll never find the guy. Everybody's wearing a mask. I managed to get the check used actually from the bank. They send the check back to our house, and I bring it to the police, and it was actually a real check with the amount was written over another amount. So it has been used twice for this purpose, and but it wasn't signed. It was not the amount was not written in letters. It was just in numbers. So it was no good, but it was a real check. So I bring it to the police, so they have one more piece of evidence, and later on they got the CCTV of who deposited the check, but it didn't really help. And so, I was busy that week, and I work, and the next Monday, it was about 1 week after it happened, I decided to go to all the used shops, because I'm thinking, okay, it's COVID time, they can't send the watches out of Hong Kong, and they're not going to keep them. They're very, they don't steal it to keep it, they steal it to sell it. So silly me, I thought I'm going to go to all the shops that I've shown you in my videos to try and find the watches. This one would be very easy to find, and to some extent the Milgauss as well. There's not so many of them. And I go to, and the crazy thing is I go first to Mongkok, which I thought would be the first place that the scammers would go to sell the watches. And the first shop I go to has two sides of the windows. One with the Rolex. There were a lot of people there looking, but I was trying to find the JLC first because it's so special. And so on the other windows they have the other brands, and I was hoping to find it there. I don't find it, so I go around the block to the other shops, and then I come back, just before leaving, I come back one more time to look at the Rolex window, and I see a Milgauss on it. I see a Milgauss, and it was like this, just enough to see some numbers of the serial, and I check on my phone, and it was the same serial. So I go in, I tell them that's my watch. We check, they have the box, and my name is on the card, so it's my watch. And I told them, okay, there's a case open. I gave them the details, and they check on the CCTV, and I look with them. So the guy who took the watches from me, the courier, if you want, who I don't know if he might not be in on the scam. He might just be a courier, to give instructions, but I'm guessing he's part of the gang. And he came, the same guy that was on my picture, and I showed the people the picture that I took. Same guy, dressed the same, came in, stole the watch, and it hadn't been reported stolen by then, of course. Even if it had been, before it goes on the registry here, it takes a while. So they have all the time to sell the watches. And so there you go. I tell them, they wouldn't give me the watch, of course. They had to check with the police and blah, blah, blah. So I leave and I ask them, do you have the other watch? And they didn't have it. So I went around again the block asking everybody if they had the watch, because I thought he would have sold them at a nearby shop. They didn't have it. So I go to Yomate, the previous stop on the line from Central, which is more of a Rolex kind of place. I don't find the watches. Funnily enough, I ask a dealer who has GLC in his window if he's seen this watch, and he says, well, if I see it, I keep it for my collection. That was very comforting for me. And then I get on a taxi. I was really tired by then already, an hour and a half, a bit stressful already in the first shop when I found the Milgauss. And then I decided to go to TST. I was going to start from one street, and I realized Champagne Court, one place that I've shown you before, that's the place where I should go. Because there's a shop there that does carry that kind of watch, a bit unusual brand, specific complication. So I go there, and there was a couple of more shops before, and then I get to that shop, and sure enough, I'll put the picture on the here. Sure enough, the watch was there. And I go in, same story, and I secure the watch. And of course, I had left a message for the detective after seeing the first watch. And he calls me right when I was seeing that watch in the window of the other shop. And he couldn't believe that I had found the watches. It was almost suspicious to him. How do you find the watches? And I'm like, well, that's kind of like what I do, I go to those shops all the time. That's why I'm collecting watches, and all that. And so crazy story. So it's there. So I send all the details of the shops, of the watches, the pictures I took to the detective, and it took a while, took a few days, but he secures the watches back to the police stations, asked me to go there. It takes a while, and sometimes I had to call myself, because they have other things to do. It's easy to I could complain about the police work, but it's they have people who get almost killed for their watches, so that's more important than my little case here. But anyway, he calls me in to come and identify the watches, and obviously very easy to identify is the watches, but he wouldn't give them to me. So this is where it gets a bit hard. It's because the investigation is ongoing. It's going to take probably months, years. And he says probably going to take a year or two until you have a date with the judge and you can tell your story. And the shops who have a legal claim on it are going to tell their story, and the judge will decide. And there's a chance you'll get your watches. There's a chance you won't. There's a chance you'll have to settle. So my suggestion to you is to go to the shops and try to settle with them, and then I'll give you your watches back. So I'm like, fuck, what do I do? So I decided, okay, let's just get it over with. If I have to pay a lawyer anyway, it's going to cost me more. Or it's going to cost me quite a lot. So I go to the shops. And first I go to the shops where I found the GLC. And the guy there was nice enough, but he gets the owner on the line. And offer straight away to pay half, half. And they didn't pay obviously the value, the true intrinsic value of the watch. They had paid fairly low. Actually, they had paid pretty much the same value of as the other shop had paid for the Rolex. Comparatively very low for this, but still quite a high price. In the 50,000 Hong Kong dollars, kind of range. But he wouldn't play ball. The boss on the other line was saying, no, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't know it was stolen. I'm a victim as well. I'm ready to go to court and tell my story. So, I was trying to negotiate, blah, blah, blah. And then I'd offer a bit more. And in the end, he just, I think, only cut me 20% off his cost on the watch. So I was a bit miffed, but the amount is about half what I had paid for the watch originally. And with the price of gold going up, I could still come out ahead if I found a collector one day if I sold the watch. Obviously now both are very special to me, so I'm going to keep them at least for a while. But I do understand why I was selling them when I see them back. Now they're a bit dearer to my heart, but I do understand why I wanted to sell them and just move on and maybe get something a bit more, a bit different. So it wasn't boding well. So I go to the other shop in Bangkok for the Milgauss, and they accepted straight away to just do half. So it was easy. And so I thought I was going to get my watches back. So I tell the detective, I had drawn contracts with those shops. saying that they forego any legal claim, but if I get the money back, I will reimburse them as well. Getting the money back, by that I mean if the police catches the culprits, the thieves, and manage to get the money back, we will share the whatever they can get with the shops. So I send the contracts to the police. Say, okay, I've settled. Can I get my watches back? And he says, okay, I'll get back to you. I'll ask my boss. And then he says, and then a week or two pass. I ask again. I need to ask my boss because the investigation is ongoing. This is evidence. We need to keep them. And it lasted a couple more weeks, 3 more weeks, 4 weeks. I asked one of the dealers here, a friendly guy. He says it has happened to me. Some watches were stolen, and I found them, but yeah, it took 2 years to get them back. So I was like, oh my God, now I don't have the watches, and I paid quite a lot. Total amount of money I paid is about the value of at retail of a Milgauss. So to give you an idea of what it's costing me to settle. But this week I sent another email, and the detective called me back, and he agreed to hand me back the watches. It's not his fault, he's of very good will. One side story is that when I went to identify the watches, there was an interpreter came because they realized it's a bit difficult to properly write the report in English. And the interpreter had a nice Grand Seiko on, and he could understand my pain because he was a fan of watches. He was a big fan of Rolex and everything. So it was a cool little side discussion that I had with him. And he wrote great English. Actually, his report was really well written, and I told him, gave him the thumbs up on that one. Nice turns of phrase, which I appreciated. And so this week. Today, finally, I got to go back to the station to pick up the watches, and I went down to the evidence room, sat down with the guys. They were giving back the watches, writing some report, and one of the guys there, I think the boss of the evidence room, was a watch guy, and he was asking me, how much is this worth? It's very rare. I had never seen one here. And he was telling me about his collection, his a Patek, an AP, how much he paid for service, and how much he's into vintage watches. So watch guys everywhere here in Hong Kong, including at the police station. And so I got the full set back from the GLC. Everything is in order. The shop that had the Milgauss only sent the papers and 2 links. They kept the box. They kept the other. The box itself, I don't really care. I can get another one. But the other sleeve has a serial and the code for the Milgauss, so that's more annoying. So I'm gonna go back, try to get it. And they also sent back only. And now it's very. The band is too small, so they removed one link when they had put it in the window, I think. And then they only sent back 2 links. I'm sure there should be 3 links. So reminder that that's what the dealers do when they get watches. They always put some links away. Make it as short as possible, hoping that the guy coming in is not going to ask for the links, so it's extra little bit of money. The same for the box. They put the box away to try to sell it, and if the guy doesn't ask for the box, then it's an easy thing. Otherwise, they use that to push the sale through. As an extra, like they were giving you any favor. So I get the whole thing back. And so now here I am with you guys telling the story. And so what have we learned? Well, first, I wouldn't say it's too good to be true. It wasn't too good to be true, this sale. But if something doesn't sound right, if the guy doesn't come for example by himself to see the watches, if something is a bit weird with the payment request, and if he's sort of ignoring something, you should just pull out of the deal, because it's better not to sell than lose so much money. Together it was a lot of money. And in more general terms, what I want to say is that the more you're going to collect and accumulate and try to be a dealer yourself, start selling. It's a job. You have to be pretty mean, pretty tough to handle this. You're going to expose yourself to this, so don't go too far. You're going to get burnt. As Archie Luxury says, there's not enough C word in you to handle some of the things that dealers handle. And that's why we pay dealers. They buy low, they sell high. It's because they give you that service. You don't have to do it yourself. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this story, and I hope it was somewhat informative. I'm going to enjoy the watches now, and soon I'm going to give you a new status of the collection. Now that I have all my watches back, we're going to talk about possible ways I could consolidate my whole collection, and maybe move on, because it's quite a big collection, and I'm starting to wonder which watch is really me. And the more I think about it, the more I think it's this Explorer. There you go, guys. Have a great weekend, and I'll speak to you very soon. Give me a like if you like this video. It's going to help pushing the channel a little bit. It's been a bit quiet lately. Bye bye.